Hey, how you folks doing today? It's the 31st of January. We are at the end of the first month in the year 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? My name is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor in 2026 in the race. I am one of the little unknowns that's happening here today. I am one of those folks who's not uber rich or attracting the attention of the media here today. And the reason why I'm here today is because the media doesn't want to talk to anybody unless you're uber rich or on a poll or able to get them points. Taking care of a few things here on my computer while we're speaking. I'm here because, as I said, have you noticed the news lately? Have you been watching what's been happening to our state, and in our country? Let me explain a few points to you. This is the era of anti-ICE movement, the third wheel on how we're going to protest Donald Trump. Vis-a-vis how we're going to save our illegal population, or otherwise known as the non-citizens of the United States of America that are here beyond their time frame of being here or being here illegally from other nations, those citizens. Minnesota has blown up, got a couple of podcasters, a couple of YouTubers, a couple of whatever the media likes to hype them up because legacy media doesn't like them. Oh my God. How long has that problem been going on down there in Minnesota? And for all their expertise, even our side media seems to have been remiss and not really reporting on it. It's flash bang, bang. Here's a report, and they move on to the next topic. It's quick, it's painless, it's simple. They blew it up. They blew it up like those folks that went down to Dalton, Illinois. Have you ever heard of that little town, Dalton, Illinois? You want to talk about graft, grift, theft, mismanagement, fraud, abuse? Plug into Google search Dalton, Illinois. Look up what those folks down there did when they installed Mayor Tiffany Henyard to the mayorship/councilship control to Thornton Township in the little town of Dalton, Illinois. And that woman went literally stupid for years. Plunged a tiny community almost into $3 million in debt over the space of 1 or 2 years. Plunged the township to debt in the space of 1 or 2 years. People clamoring for change. People tried to recall her, and the court system threw out the recall attempt. It brought in Lori Lightfoot to fix it. What did she do? Highlighted what they already knew. The former mayor of Chicago coming down to deal with the young upstart in Dalton, Illinois. And the young upstart, what did she do? She changed Lori Lightfoot got slammed by Tiffany Henyard to mind her business. Kind of catch the pattern there? If you had to put it down in brutal explanation, go F yourself would have been what Ms. Henyard would have told Lori Lightfoot. She did in so many politically nice ways. But Ms. Henyard was protected by the Democratic establishment that knew full well what was happening down there. How can you launder, hide, embezzle, steal, rob, grift, and everything else that much money and nobody notice? Mayor Pritchard said, oh, it's not his problem. Hey, that's not me. That's local authority will deal with that. Federal authorities are investigation, but they didn't really do anything. Let's bear in mind and be a little honest, if we're going to be brutally honest, that was a heavily 90-some-odd% African-American community, 80-90% African-American community. Nobody cared. Jeb Brown did. Jedediah Brown went down there. First couple of YouTube videos that came out from it, it was almost like a comedy show. My God, you thought it was a General Hospital movie played out. But that was funny because all kinds of people came out to help defend that city from theft, blatant theft. And it might have taken them 2 years to do it, but they finally got around to doing something. So what does that have to do with California, Leo? That's Dalton, Illinois. Nobody cares about Dalton, Illinois. We're Californians. What are you doing for us today in this state? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot that I'm trying to do for this state. The problem is that you have a machine that is preventing myself, even other candidates, from being seen or heard in what they're trying to do for this state, which is to fix it. We're not here on the platitude mission, though there are some people that are. Be a little evident, call them out by name, Mr. Serpa. You are smoke and mirrors. Mr. Hilton, smoke and mirrors. Mr. Bianco, smoke and mirrors. But those are the top two candidates. Well, hell, they should be. The party's been pushing them. The media has been protecting them. The Democrats have been encouraging them. Now we're getting to it, Leo. Now we're getting to the gist of what you're trying to say. You don't like those two. I don't like those two for what they stand for as candidates. You're right. I'd like to be able to have that shot to put up their so-called expertise and their ideas vis-a-vis my ideas and let you, the voter, pick it out. Government forums? Yeah, we've had a couple of those government forums. Had a 90-second snapshot forum. I noticed that in that forum, 90 seconds to answer the questions. That's not one of Steve Hilton's fortes. He doesn't do 90-second pop off an answer to a question. Chad Bianco, well, unless it's a mob he can kneel to, he only goes where it's safe. Where he can talk. He can discuss what he wants to discuss about. And I've said this early on in my campaign. I'll stand in front of anybody and have a conversation about anything, but I don't need to be setting the tone of the conversation. You folks set the tone for the conversation. I'll give you my platform. I'll give you what I believe. I'll give you what I stand on. I'll give you what I'd like to try and do to help fix this state. But when it comes down to the brass tacks, ladies and gentlemen, you are the people I have to answer to should I be elected. So if you leave it up to me, we'll discuss how to grow petunias in California in the summertime, in the wintertime, in the fall, and the spring, so that it's a safe conversation for me not having to explain anything to you. But is that disingenuous? Am I going to woo you with my looks, my wealth, my screen time? No, it's not going to do jack diddly. I believe Californians are smarter than that, but there are people in the party who don't. You want to talk about water usage? Great. You want to talk about child trafficking? Great. You want to talk about gangs, illegals? The new bill coming to pass talking about taxing us per mile, replacing it with fuel tax, but taxing us per mile? We can discuss that. We can discuss bankrupt townships, Isleton, soon to be Benicia, if they're not already there. We can talk about lost opportunities, Crescent City, if they'd like to. We can talk about Chinese biowarfare labs that are springing up in this state. Reedley, California is one of them. Popped up, popped out, just as fast. Did you know about that? Of course you don't. Because we're Americans. The political parties know that the mentality of Americans. 2 minutes later, we're done. Can't remember that. I have to go to the next topic. There are a few fanatics out there, they'll remember everything. We can have these discussions, but we don't want to have these discussions. Now we have what's being reported on by Mr. Mike Netter, who is an interesting podcaster on YouTube. A little fanatical for him. Kind of one-sided. He's a Hilton supporter. Not what I initially have heard that he threw his support behind, but Mr. Bianco, like many other folks, blew him off. Now he's fully immersed in a Hilton camp because he's getting all the exposure he wants. More. Happy camper. Fox News is hosting a debate of governor candidates. Now I want you to hear that. Fox News is hosting the debate out of San Francisco for candidates to debate, governor candidates. Six Democrats are on that ticket. One Republican was allowed to show up. Well, that's good. If you're a Hilton supporter, I imagine it could be. Fox News is hosting it. Well, it must be good because it's Fox News. It's Fox News that put up 6 Democrats in San Francisco and 1 Republican. And of all the Republicans who have put in to do this, it's a candidate forum. So it's not really even a debate. It's just a forum. What we've still keep having are forums. Debates are the clash of ideas and position. Forums are the niceties of you get to ask a question, I solicit what my view is, and then the other guy or the other person gets to speak their portion. There's no real debate. You don't really challenge or question anything. You just lay out your positions. Well, that's funny. 6 demos. Now, if you look at the flyer, the bottom 4 are humorous. Swallwell, Villaraigosa, and Mr. Thurmond. People asking on the X platform, well, why isn't Chad Bianco there? Well, Chad Bianco's not there because Mr. Thurmond's already thrashed Mr. Bianco. I don't think Mr. Bianco wants a repeat performance to be embarrassed on live TV a second time. Mr. Thurmond already handed Bianco his ass the first time on a Fox News channel down out of L.A. You remember that, Chad? You look goofus. Goofy and doofus at the same time. Goofus. The worst candidate the Dems could throw out trashed you in 30 minutes or less. And right there, I knew you were toast. If he could do that to you, you're through. Oh, but you got pushed by the party. Congratulations. They really like you. They love you down south. The commentaries are already rolling in about your endorsements from down south. Up north is a different question. They're all about Hilton. 2 camps. Hilton, north of Sacramento. Chad, south of Sacramento. Party is pushing it. The party is pushing it. Now, if you take Mr. Mark Wright's commentary, the party's pushing it because these men draw people to central committees so that they can raise funds. They don't care about whether they win or lose the elections. They're raising money, campaigning. That's the whole point of why they're being pushed, campaign funding. We can draw money off of them. Leo, it sounds like you're embittered. It sounds like you're angry. It sounds like you're mad. It sounds like you're confrontational. No, it sounds like I'm just pointing out the facts of what we face when your average citizen is being encouraged by that very party to run because we want good candidates. This is what you face when you try. They want good candidates they can control, or they want good candidates that they can smoke, but they don't want good candidates. Because that means that they might win something. That means that they might have to do something. Mediocre candidates, candidates that draw a lot of money but don't accomplish a whole hell of a lot, sound good, look good, get them funds that you'll never see or benefit from. That's primary. Winning, that's secondary. This is not about winning for them. This is just about drawing money. Win, lose doesn't matter. For them, they're going to get paid regardless. Ask any consultant how that works out. You'll find out. So then on that ticket, we have the top three, how they're positioned. Steyer, the new Mr. Mahan, who just got in the race. He's already on a top tier. Thought Swallwell was the demo favored. No, they put Mahan up there. Steyer and Mahan. And then there's Steve. Two Dems and a Republican. Billionaire tax is very prevalent right now in conversation. Oh my God, Leo, they're raping the money that billionaires have. They want to tax assets. We're losing millions of people because of the billionaires fleeing for their taxes. Tom Steyer's not running. A couple of other billionaires aren't running. They're still here campaigning. They're still here talking trash. They're still here doing what billionaires do. Continue to get rich. And I've said this before, especially when people started coming out panicking over this BS tax that SEIU, the healthcare workers, is trying to push. If it was so egregious, why are they still here? Billionaires don't panic. So when you hear the storyline, billionaires are panicking and fleeing, that's to rile you up and to get their side motivated. Billionaires don't panic. That's why they're billionaires. Oh, they might get a little flustered. They might get a little inconvenienced. They might get a little perturbed, angry to a small account, but they don't panic. The people they hire panic. The people they pay panic. They make decisions. That's how they became billionaires. Sometimes it's at our cost, but that's how they became billionaires. Steyer's not panicking. You haven't heard him worried one way or the other about this tax because he knows it ain't going anywhere. You're ginning up support on how to push tax increases through the Democratic Party using surrogates so that you can stay mad at the union as opposed to the legislative body. Republicans are making noise in the legislature. Carl DeMaio is giving a good fight, but Carl DeMaio is one guy. And if you keep looking at it, he seems to be the only guy standing up on camera. Where are the other Republicans supposedly standing up on camera, making the point, making the comment, making the good fight? 20 versus 200 is not a fight. It's called whether you're there or not, who gives a rat's. The demos are going to do what the demos are going to do. Pointing out the obvious, California, you're getting ready to get hit with a brand new tax. Do you know this? Yeah, we already know that. What can be done from your point of view? How do we alter that? There's only one way to alter that. You have to either start swapping out those people in office, putting some Republicans in there that are like-minded to prevent crap like that, or you have to put somebody at the top that can fight it, because the middle is lacking. And why is that? Because the party likes it that way. When you have 60 open seats, that means, ladies and gentlemen, there are people in these offices, in these positions. City council, mayor, county council, school district, water district, it doesn't matter what district it is. Assembly district, state senate district. They have one person in that chair, one person on the ballot. That person has an automatic win. Nobody's challenging him. I won with one vote. Woo! 100% support for my community. One vote got you in because nobody bothered to challenge you. And I bring this up again. 2023, we have an opportunity in the Republican Party, ladies and gentlemen. What are you people trying to do? How are you going to help take advantage of this? And the commentaries that I got for the last year and a half. Leo, it's too early to consider those elections. That's not on our radar. That's not what we're focused on. We're not looking there. We're looking here. What's happening over there? We have a function, a luncheon, meeting of the minds. So-and-so, Dick, what's his name? Coming from someplace in America to talk about election fraud. But we have an election in 2026 that has grave implications for this state. We're not worried about that. We're not going to talk about that. You know what? Thank you for talking with us. Move it along. That was the mentality from 2023 until now. That's almost a year, and that's almost 2 years. With the exception of the burp of Prop 50. Now, when that started up, oh my God, that's all they could talk about. Prop 50, Prop 50, Prop 50. Didn't talk about the recall. Didn't talk about trying to do a recall. Didn't talk about the things that supposedly we're talking about now. How horrible Gavin Newsom is. How terrible Gino Gavin has been. We couldn't talk about it then. Randy Economy was a farce. Randy Economy was a joke. He's not even a Republican. Randy Economy was a bullshit artist. Gavin has already been tried to be recalled, and we had to give up. Give up the ghost. You tried to recall Gavin Newsom way back when there was a real serious push to do it. Who's the guy that you stuck in the forefront? God bless him. But Larry Elder, seriously? He was not it as a realistic candidate. But you pushed him up there anyway. You made a half-ass shot of trying to remove a crappy governor that you've done nothing but talk bad about. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the whole point of doing that. By continuing to talk bad about Gino Gavin Newsom, what do you get to do? Raise campaign money, bring awareness, try and recruit, try and change, but you haven't done anything. I want to use a private example of volunteer Miss Hogue, closely associated with Gordon Rankin, from what I understand. Probably will set some more people off on me, but you know what? Grow up. You're prancing around LA looking cute, getting on TV, getting the opportunity to be on Fox. You're doing a whole hell of a lot of that. But what I haven't seen you doing is getting anybody ready to challenge Mayor Bass in the election process. Spencer Pratt, God bless him. People are already saying he's a demo. He claims he's a Republican. Testily says he's a Republican. Don't know how true that is, but we'll find out. Making all the right connections. Wouldn't doubt it. He's doing all behind the scenes stuff. Wouldn't doubt it. The only candidate you could field is that gentleman who's pissed off because his house burned down. I get it. All of Palisades is pissed off because their house is burned down. But understanding that area, to me, that area I've been told is heavily liberal. You're pissed off because your houses came down because it impacted you. Your liberal policies failed you. That's why you're coming out the woodwork now. Got somebody on the net today. I'm pissed off and fed up as a San Franciscoan. No, you're not. Because you still have the same people that you keep electing to do the things that you want them to do, and then they go a little overboard and they start screwing you. Whoa, now it's different. We don't care if they chump change the Republicans. Just don't slam the progressive libs. Out of nowhere, in less than a week, the San Jose mayor, Mahan, has come to the forefront of the governor's race. You can't see the tea leaves with that one. I don't know what to tell you. That's groomed. That's desperately sought after because Swallwell is the crippled candidate. But yet, if you ask Hilton and Bianco, oh my God, the man is the devil incarnate. Come to steal California. How is he going to steal California? We don't even know if he even has the ability to be on the ballot. But you guys are sounding like, panic, panic. There's a movie that does that, does it better than me. Oh, it's panic, panic, in French language. You're scared to death about Swallwell being in the race. Why? Either he can be on the ballot or he can't. What's the final word? Party's just making noise that he's challenged on being on the ballot. But nobody has made that a confirmational fact. Katie Porter, oh, you panicked over here. You panicked over her. Chad Bianco, shame on you, you coward. And yes, I called you that outright. You'll stand up to her. Puff your little chest out. Show your badge. You'll stand up against her. You know, when you stand up against a woman like that, in some circles, looks a little hostile. You want to go toe-to-toe with Katie Porter. You're probably used to doing that. Overly aggressive at women. Hilton's AG candidate got in trouble for that. Fired his ass for cause. Nobody gets fired in federal service for cause unless you are a complete moron. I don't care how good you were down in Huntington Beach as their attorney. To be fired for cause from the feds, you really have to F up. It's like you work towards getting fired to get to that position. Now, granted, through all the grandstanding and political maneuverings, you got that changed, but the charge was still there. That hasn't been refuted. You created a hostile working environment against women. Not towards, against. You know, you got this sheriff wants to stand up against Katie Porter. Probably the only thing you stand up to, because you don't stand up against illegals. You want amnesty, sir. You stood up against Gavin Newsom, little girly man that he is, because you didn't want to deal with COVID. But you won't stand up against him to support ICE. Look at the postings of Sheriff Supreo. I personally believe at this point he's a far better sheriff than you will ever be. But I remember him from the days of Rush, and he was hotly praised for what he was doing back then. You got people that say, oh, I praise, all hail Chad Bianco, Riverside Sheriff, my sheriff, our governor. Puh! If that man was so great at what he does, you wouldn't have only had 13% of you voting, and not even a full 13%, more like 11 voting to elect him as sheriff. 1.3 million voter eligible population and only 200,000 of you elected him? I don't care what you say. That doesn't bode well for a number cruncher. That looks kind of bad when you think about it. You throw in all the other nuances of his background, and we're still not too sure about this Oath Keeper thing. Go way back. The initial reports of him and the Oath Keepers, oh my God, that was horrible. Sheriff Chad Bianco, I didn't know who they were. Excuse me. I didn't know who they were. I joined them, but I didn't really participate in anything, and it was a mistake, and I regret it, and I let my, participation lapse. I didn't pay any more dues, even though I paid dues, but now I'm not paying any more dues, and I'm not affiliated with them. I'm Sheriff Chad Bianco, and I can do what I want in Riverside County. You blew back past that one really quick. But then recently, that changed. You fully embrace the Oath Keepers now. They're people who keep their oaths. You're a proud member. Holy smokes. Do you see the disconnect of that optics? YouTube post I did on there about optics. You gotta see it. Looks pretty good. You did a complete 180 from denying their existence to fully embracing and being participative in their activities. You support Trump, but you won't support ICE. California sanctuary policies are bad, you state, but you don't want to get rid of them. You just want to modify them. SB 54 tied your hands. Nothing you can do towards immigration enforcement. That's all the purveyance of the federal government. Sheriff Arpaio said he had his deputies federalized so they could assist in immigration enforcement. Wow. But you won't do it because you're on record as saying you're for amnesty or moving towards amnesty. That's why you won't do anything on the question of unauthorized individuals from other nations being in this country illegally, i.e., illegal immigrants. You just lost a case trying to charge Vem Miller as being an assassin against President Trump during the Coachella time frame. Third assassin, I think you called him. I knew that was a joke when I was listening to the news that day. Laughed my ass off over that. My wife thought I was a moron. Leo, those are serious charges. Yeah, Leo Naranjo for governor 2026 knew that you were full of crap when you did that. You were enhancing your opportunity to run for governor. I made that statement way back when and laughed harder when Trump came out and said there was no assassination attempt, but you were the only doofus that was continuing with the mantra that there was. The target says there wasn't, but you claim there was. Who do you believe, the target or your silly ass? A lot of factors surrounding that arrest, which were hugely comical from a so-called experienced lawman. Secret Service wouldn't hold him. Feds wouldn't hold him. You kept him on misdemeanor gun charges and you let him go within hours, but you claimed he was an assassin against the President of the United States of America? Wow, sir. Just imagine. Let's play this out differently in the what-if game. What if Vem Miller really was a whack job trying to kill President Trump and you let him go within hours of apprehending him for minor weapons charges? Continue with the what-if scenario, and if Mr. Miller, after skillfully with his experience, put up enough fluff weapons for you to arrest him temporarily, to let him go, knowing how California law is and how you are as a sheriff, because I'm pretty sure if he was that wacko, he would have did his background checking, managed with all these so-called fake IDs to pre-position enough stuff to go forward to break the security perimeter, and we would be mourning President Trump. In that scenario, sir, what was the trigger of events? Your failure as a sheriff to put such an irreprehensible individual behind bars and keep him there pending full investigation. No, you released him on misdemeanor charges. And that's if Vem Miller was a whack job. Oh my, that optics sucks, doesn't it? But Mr. Miller wasn't a whack job. Mr. Miller was exactly who he claimed he was. And you sacrificed him for your political gains. And now you've just been embarrassed in court because you're getting ready to have all those charges thrown out, which kind of paves the way for what I said on that same day. The third thing I laughed about was you better have prayed Mr. Miller was that whack job you claimed for him to be, because your ass is going to face a defamation lawsuit of major consequences. Less than 36 hours later, that's what Vem Miller did, was sued your ass. And this court case looks like it adds merit to his lawsuit. Your insistence to be resistant to the evidence adds merit to the lawsuit, sir. You're a sheriff and you're withholding evidence? Ha! That's a good one. If you have the proof that Vem Miller is the abhorrent individual you claimed he was, you would have popped that out and silenced any questions or doubts in anyone's mind. But you're not. You aren't. I thought withholding evidence was a crime. Tampering with evidence was a crime. Making false statements in a courtroom is definitely a crime. But you're the sheriff, right? You can do that with immunity. Okay. That's what the Republicans are embracing. Okay. Another optic of embarrassment there. They thought you were the man right away until you started to come unglued at the wheels. Kim Yeater took your happy ass apart, and you almost pulled a Katie Porter moment. So they desperately looked around. They found Mel Gibson. Chad Bianco thrown under the bus for Mel Gibson. Yes, we found our Republican savior. And what happened? Mel Gibson had to gracefully bow out. I think because he was making a movie was the professional excuse, but the other one would have been his background on how he treats women. Specifically his own daughter, when he really ripped her on a recorded phone conversation that the world is now aware of. And let me tell you, Chad, when a man drops the C word on a woman, and in this instance, his own daughter, and looks towards her being raped by, what did Mr. Gibson say? African-American male, but not necessarily with those two words, but the one word of description. Did you honestly think he was going to be the one? No. It had torn him apart. And Mel bowed out. And the party went freaky again. And he grasped a hold of James Woods. James Woods. Oh, that's a guy right there, James Woods. I like him. Kind of, sort of. James Woods, oh, he's going to be the man. He's going to run. We're going to back him up. Again, threw your doofus ass under the bus. That was twice the party threw you under the bus. And James Woods bowed out politely. No, he was not going to do it. Well, he has a few racial rants behind him that are probably not conducive to winning in California as a Republican. I digress, we move along. So for that month, April 2024, the party was awash in what do we do now? What do we do next? Oh my God, we don't have anybody but this guy. We're not going to win with this guy. Governor's Forum pops up. Search around. 1 month of being silent. My other opponents, the other Republicans, which you call the grassroots guys, low end of the totem pole, they noticed a quiet pause in gubernatorial rhetoric from the party. The news media hinted that there was a pause of gubernatorial rhetoric from the party. Alas, after 1 month, here comes the dual citizen, Steve Hilton. Oh, I'm Steve Hilton from England. No, I'm not from England, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hungarian. I came from Hungary. I migrated here and I became president. Oh, not president. No. Oh, well, what is it? Oh, yes. I became a citizen of the United States of America. I know what to do in California. I've been studying for the last couple of years, and I got a plan that I've been formulating for many, many, many years before I got here on how to deal with California. That's our guy. That's their guy. That's the guy they sucked up to. He can bring in money. He's a Fox News representative. Yeah, that dual citizen thing, well, we got to work past that. Then the rhetoric started heating up in Washington about how to keep those people out of government in the United States of America. Next thing you know, Steve Hilton. Oh, I'm Steve Hilton. I'm not from England. I'm from Hungary. And I've renounced my British citizenship. Yes, you can trust me. I've renounced my British citizenship because I'm an American citizen, and I've told you so, and you have to believe me. But there's no proof or documents or anything else. There's no confirmation coming out of England that has actually happened. Trust and verify. I believe that's Roxanne Hogue's motto, as she said. Trust but verify. Ma'am, what have you verified? Not a damn thing. A few other things I could nail you on, but I digress. We'll leave that one alone for now. Mr. Hilton, last that we knew of, was a dual citizenship. British tabloids announced that back in April of 2025, I believe. Maybe 2024. Mr. Hilton refutes it. No proof, just his word. Like we're going to trust you on your word. Yeah, look what you helped bring in and usher in to England with your vast experience of government involvement. You were never in government other than what most people would term as lackey, a consultant. You created policies that you buffaloed through with people probably of a weaker mindset that were already green and grassroots progressives anyway. Look at England today. You helped cause that. You should be proud of your accomplishments. You helped destroy the Conservative Party in England, boldly announcing that you turned them into the Green Party. But yet, our party here embraces you. What did we fight to get our own nation? We fought England. And who are we trying to put in the California chair for governor? A British national that is now an American. Oh, the irony of that. Isn't that amazing? We're going to take the colonies back one at a time, but we're going to start on the West Coast so we can move away to the East Coast. Okay. And here comes Mr. Mahan after having a little visit with you, old Steve-O, down there in his little entourage of tiny houses. Some people claiming $1,300 to $2,000 a square foot tiny house for the homeless. 350 people's worth of homeless support, or 370, depends who you ask. Out of about 7,000 or 8,000 people down there. Mr. Mahan doing the same thing some people are complaining about that Gino Gavin did when he became mayor of San Francisco. As mayor of San Francisco, those people down there couldn't understand how they kept getting over 30,000 people homeless in San Francisco. Because you idiots kept paying them. From 300 to 400 to 500, I think at the time frame that happened, ladies and gentlemen, San Francisco was paying almost $800 a person to be homeless in their city. What did you expect was going to happen? Gavin Newsom came in, I will fix the homeless problem. And he did, to his credit, but not in the way that you think. Was he compassionate? Hell no. Did he do anything positive for the homeless? Hell no. But Leo, how are you going to besmirch the man if you say he did nothing but he cleaned out the homeless problem in San Francisco? And he almost did it overnight. Again, Americans have a very short mindset. We're a nation that has a big history, but the attention span of a gnat. How did Gino Gavin clear out San Francisco during that debacle way back when? He made their payments $50 a person and drove them out without helping them. I was getting $800 a month. Now you're only going to give me $50? Pfft, screw you. I'll go to Sacramento and leech off of their homeless programs. That's how he did that. I laughed for days over that because the political hay was Gavin Newsom cleans out San Francisco, a mayor with a vision. Oh, please. Mr. Mahan, here the same thing happened to you. You've cleaned out San Jose, a mayor with a vision, a moderate that sees things differently, spikes every now and then against Gino Gavin. But they're both on the same side. Progressive Democrat, that's Gino. And the more moderate Democrat, that's Mr. Mahan. Rush Limbaugh has always said there's no such thing as a moderate Democrat. Does it hold true? From what people are saying, contrary to what Mr. Mahan has done, all he did was drive them out to other communities to say, look, my area is clean. But you haven't fixed or helped anything. Where it is, you're hostile against ICE. You want to see illegals here. You're pushing to get illegals here. And you're the moderate candidate for the Dems. That's because Swallwell is an idiot, doesn't know where he lives, and Porter has embarrassed herself so bad in front of that Miss Watts lady, who also didn't want to have an interview with me, but she gave one up to Leo Zaki. So I'm thinking that unless you pay to play, they're not going to do that. But I digress again. She made herself look so bad on the air that the Democrats have been desperate trying to find anybody, and now they found one, Mr. Mahan. And in less than a week, he's propelled himself up to the top position of a debate coming up in February next week, opposite of Steve Hilton and the other 5 Democrats. We're going to put him in front of Tom Steyer, the billionaire that knows what to do for California. The billionaire that helped set up California's failures. Yes, I agree with that. In our party, right along, chump chains up the guy that they think is going to save their bacon, that looks more like them than is opposite of them. You think Steve Hilton has anything to do with the middle class Americas in California? Hell no. Steve Hilton is a billionaire, close to it, hundreds of millions of dollars. His wife is hundreds of millions of dollars, a lady you never hear of. Conveniently kept out of the woodwork. You knew about Arnold's wife. You knew about Gino Gavin's wife. You don't know anything about his wife because she's a tech guru from Silicon Valley. Google, Amazon, a few other choice things that she's gotten involved with. That woman is uber liberal, depending on who you listen to. Arnold Schwarzenegger 4.0 of the negative of what we're getting ready to face should that man be elected. This isn't about choice for us. This is about acceptance through the democratic system. Tom Steyer, the billionaire. He's paying his way to be on the ticket. Chapstick. Burst Bees. Shameless plug. Mr. Mahan just showed up on the scene, and he's already propelled as number 1. Katie Porter, Mr. Swallwell. Katie Porter's not even in this mix. Swallwell is, but we don't even know if he's even in California. And Fox News is pushing this out of San Francisco? Ladies and gentlemen, you wonder why the Republican Party is viewed as a Democrat Party with an R in front of their name only. You wonder why we have the complicational problems we have in this state in a 2-party system where one party is currently in charge and the other party, well, they've been the other party for the last 30 years. They can't even be obstructionists. They can't even be relevant. They're irrelevant. Steve Hilton is socialist leaning. Came from England. What do you expect? Look at that nation today. Who was he running around with early in the campaign session? 1 minute, David Serpa's powing him like there's no tomorrow, hammering home Steve Hilton failures, hammering home what that man has not done while he was over in England pretending to be a government official. And now here he is in America, all of a sudden after a forum and a closed-door meeting with Mr. Hilton, Bianco, and Mr. Mercury and Serpa, and Tillman as dressing, and Markham as dressing. Closed-door meeting. Nobody knows anything about. No agenda, no written anything. They just had a closed-door meeting. Suddenly, David Serpa, the Republican socialist candidate, comes forth and boldly exclaims, I had a come to Jesus meeting and I was a little bit too rough. Steve Hilton is awesome. Yay. That optic looked like crap when they had that meeting. I refused to participate in such a meeting because the optics was horrible. It looks like people were getting paid off. If you want to go into conspiracy theory mode, and lo and behold, now you have a candidate that's thinking about dropping Mr. Serpa because he may or may not run for treasurer. Ugh, can't imagine why. It's hard running. He's got a lot of time he has to devote towards the campaign. Sir, you just came out of a congressional race where only you and one candidate were up against each other. And then as soon as that ended, you immediately jumped into this race, first as lieutenant governor, then as governor because the Bianco campaign fluffed you. And now you think that you're going to get bought and paid for by the Hilton campaign, which is why you're acting like the fool you are today. and I stated when I started this process, I don't subscribe to the belief that Americans are that silly and that doofus that they don't understand the difference between a BS candidate and a real candidate. But we in California are so ingrained with mediocrity and losing, especially on the Republican side, that we've embraced anything they do as a failure because that's all they've ever been. We look at realistic candidates that we demand, that we get, that we want, and then we crucify them because we can't believe they're actually that true blue to what they're saying. But we'll embrace the phony baloney that the party sticks in front of us and tells us, this is the only guy you can vote for. Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. You only get 2 picks, and we're the ones picking for you. That's your free election? Okay. Don't just look at what is being said or told to you. Look past that at what's not being said. Fox News is hosting a 7-person forum in San Francisco. 6 Democrats versus Hilton. That's like that nonsensical forum in Stockton that they held during a convention, during our 13-member forum down south that Ms. Yeater hosted, that Chad Bianco could not attend, but he went to a forum in Stockton. 3 Democrats and Mr. Bianco. And the only thing the Democrats talked about after that was not the fact that Mr. Bianco held his own, was good, bad, and different. They could care less that he was there. Oh, yes, Mr. Bianco showed up on the Republican side. Their whole ensemble of that news article was to express the problem the Democrat parties have and are having because they have no candidate with name recognition. There's no candidate that's standing out separate from one another. They all look and sound like Gino Gavin. Hate Trump, hate ICE, hate America, tax the citizens, pay for this, pay for that, let them get over, blah, 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 blah. The Dems have had debates. Back in 2023, 2024, early first half of the year, they were having debates. They had 3 debates when I was starting to really go off about what the hell was going on in California. Where was the Republican debates? Where's the Republican counterance of anything? But at the end of each of those Democratic debates, one thing stood out painfully clear for them. They can't figure it out who is who because they all sounded exactly the same. No political position, no difference, no nuance, no nothing. Their problem was name recognition, but these are all rich, powerful Democrats. How can they not have name recognition? Because they're who cares who they are? They're irrelevant. They held office that didn't really have much of a meaning because they were never highlighted. Let me graph one more onto you here. Not moron. I want you to remember who our lieutenant governor is right now. Do you even know? It's Eleni Kolonolikis. If I said that right. If I didn't, oh well. She showed up to an anti-Trump or an anti-ICE protest rally. This is the woman who hasn't said, seen, done, acted on anything except to make noise when Kamala Harris thought she was going to be breezed in as governor of California. She broke her neck racing across that tarmac to meet Kamala Harris. Did she make anything and special announcements about the massacre that happened in Israel? No. Did she say anything? Reach out to anybody on the people that we had injured in the state because of illegals and their drivers? No. Did she meet with the Coleman family? No. Is she trying to meet with the Cruz family? That's what I'm trying to do. No. But she'll stand with the ICE protesters? No matter what is said, no matter how it's said, and no matter anything else, I can tell you this as a grassroots candidate, I beat the sitting lieutenant governor in the governor's race. You can call it what you want to, because there's a lot of people that make things up as they pertain. Well, I'm going to be one of them too. Mussolini dropped out of the governor's race. Insert the excuse, I don't give a damn. You quit. I haven't. My claim to fame will be, I beat your ass in the governor's race. Just like that AG will say, my records got changed from the feds. But we all know that your ass got fired for cause 10 months into your job. That's an amazing feat by itself. 6 Democrats facing off with Mr. Hilton present. And Mr. Hilton, smoke and mirror self, is not going to have a whole lot of opportunity to talk unless they give it to him. And all he's going to do is fluff and beers the Democrats. Well, they're going to pick up the nuances of what he doesn't say as much as what he does say. Can he be bought and sold by the Democratic Party in this state? Of course he can. He's a millionaire. And what do millionaires hang out with? It ain't you or I in Placer County, Shasta County, or any other county that he runs around in to gather your votes. He cavorts with the millionaires and constantly is trying to go higher in the evolutionary scale of millionaires. He never wants to be poor again, ever. And we remind him of what it is to be broke, which is why he embraces the uber rich. His experience, England. He wasn't even a government official. He was a consultant. Hell, if I'd have told you I was a staffer in the state of California, I was a government official, that'd be a lie. Why is he allowed to get away with it? Nobody challenges that. You were a staffer, sir. You weren't a government official. And if that's the case, I was in the government. I was sitting there opposite the bigwigs, giving them my opinion, writing policies. Well, hell, I've done the same crap too. This so-called forum that they're getting ready to have on the 3rd of February, I think it is to highlight the demos. And it ain't necessarily Mr. Steyer that they're highlighting. The pitch is Mahan versus Hilton. And they've already met in San Jose so that they can show that they're working together and there's a cooperational thing that they can do. Mr. Mahan is playing off to the moderates as a moderate to lure them back to the Democratic side. Mr. Hilton is just going to expose himself as a demo that they can control, disguised as a Republican. His socialist-leaning 15-minute city vision is exactly what they're looking for. You go in and read that 20 pages of BS on homelessness, that's exactly what they're looking for. Fraud, waste, and abuse is going to be right there. No Doge. You're going to audit what? We have auditors now and no one's doing anything. We have GOA accounting audits that do nothing. Treasury that does nothing. Comptroller that does nothing. We have audits coming out of our ears and nobody is doing anything to make fixes because everybody's lockstep and locked up on this one word. Well, we're going to have an audit to hold people accountable. We have thousands of accountable employees in California. No one has been held responsible for the debacles that we're enduring. Mr. Hilton wants to give you accountability. I am going to give you responsibility. And those people who have screwed up our state are going to pay a heavy price if they went down the political path instead of the professional path. How do we break that open? One way I'm trying to break that open is to have a one-on-one debate with Mr. Bianco, the party favored. What are you afraid of, sir? Coward in a uniform with a badge and a weapon. Here is what I'm asking for. If you're all that in a bag of chips, like the party keeps puffing that you are. The Central Committees are already casting all their lots behind you. Shame on them. Feel for some of those people that have common sense. You can't even stand up against an Army veteran to go one-on-one, you and I only, on a stage to debate in front of the public. And the conditions of this debate, I have one demand. My family has to be present. That's it. You, sir, can set the template however you want. Time, place, date, crowd, moderators, questions, I don't care. You pick them. I'll be there. My demand is that my family has to be there with me. Everything else, I leave to you. And instead of accepting that challenge, your cowardly ass is hiding behind your consultants, your so-called pretend lead, your polling numbers, and I'm not sure whatever else it is that you're running and hiding from. Maybe you'd rather have Katie Porter here so you can try and embarrass yourself in front of her. Show the world how tough you are, challenging a woman. Maybe you want to go round and round with Mr. Thurmond again. I personally don't believe it because he already handed your ass back to you the last time you met. You haven't polished up since then. You haven't learned anything since then. You haven't modified nothing. I'm here as a veteran giving you a one-on-one challenge, yielding the floor to you to make up all the particulars of the debate. That's how confident I am on dealing with you. But we're in the realm of platitudes and BS. We are in the realm right now as we are barreling towards making everything official by submitting paperwork, signatures, and checks. Oh, the time is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. On the 4th of February, your real candidates are going to be lockstep into the program. 78 different people have put in an intent to run for the governorship of California. By the 4th of February, I fully expect half of them to drop out on both sides, across all parties. Because now it's put up or shut up time. Now you're real. And you can't talk to the Republican Party because they've already locked us out. So that's kind of useless dealing with them. Oh no, we're still open, Leo. We still have opinions. Well, Santa Cruz doesn't. They already lockstep with Hilton. Or excuse me, with Mr. Bianco. Riverside County, well, that's a given. I mean, the man is in your county, but it would have been funny if you didn't endorse him. As predicted, most of Southern California is going to go with the sheriff because that's what the LA party is pushing. But they know he's not a strong candidate. They know he's a liability. The Dems want him to be the front runner. Of course they do. So they can cream the hell out of him in the general election and prove once again we are a party of professional losers who do nothing other than lose professionally, consistently, because we're good at doing it. That's the message. That message will resonate for another decade or two. In 2023, the alarm was sounded, and I was one of them. There are probably others that said, here is an opportunity for us to change the direction of California, a once-in-a-lifetime effort of things that come together for that chance. A president that you could probably work for, maybe the national level of the party that could help out if they get unfocused on watching California destroy itself. Gavin Newsom, Gino Gavin, was no longer going to be the top pick. The Democrats were so discombobulated. They had all kinds of people. They have all kinds of influence and money and positions, but nobody knows who they are. That was a weakness. A jump on whoever challenged the system. All the things that Gino Gavin put in place that was destroying California, chances to fix. all the things that Gino Gavin was going to do before he got thrown out of office. The chances to fix, recall being one of them. And instead of embracing a recall, the party rejected Randy Economy and his attempts. Everywhere Mr. Economy went, when he traveled up north and I was able to get to him, my name was the first candidate to sign his petitions to recall Gino Gavin. The first candidate. Leo Zaki did show up to some functions. A couple of others kind of showed up to some functions. I don't know what they did. I know my happy ass signed the petition, first name, every opportunity I had. Where was Mr. Hilton? Nowhere. Where was Mr. Bianco? Nowhere. The school fight with young ladies down there in Temecula, parents being coerced to signing forms that declare their daughters mentally defective because they refuse to participate on a sport that they're they're allowing boys to play and forcing women to compete against. Mentally defective because they want their own locker room minus the male presence in it. Where was Mr. Bianco when that was taking place and I went down there to his county to plant my flag? Nowhere. Bianco? Missing. Hilton? Oh, was my topic of the day. My topic of the day was Palisades and how they burnt up. I went there too and saw that nonsense and planted my flag on that problem. Here's what I'll do to fix it. Trump's now trying to force the fix, and they're going to fight him. Of course they're going to fight him. He's the federal level involvement. But what are you going to do to fight against the state level involvement? The only way that you can do that is you have to get a governor who's willing to do that, take up that fight, force the hand. Mr. Hilton? Oh, got a plan. I have a goal. You have a plan. I have a mission. You have an idea. I've been very clear on my mission. I understand the Palisades was a heavily liberal Democratic portion of California. I don't care that they were heavily liberal enclave of California. What I care about is why in hell are those people still waiting to rebuild and what's taking so freaking long. Even after they rebuild, do I know that they would ever support anything I did? Of course I know they won't, because I'm a conservative Republican. But as governor of California, my concern would be for citizens being able to reestablish the properties that they lost because of a fire. As far as how that happened, why it happened, and who allowed it to happen, that's for another conversation and discussion. And we will be going after those people that facilitated in the destruction of that section of California. Because that wasn't just a failure, that was willful failure. That's criminal, shows an intent. If Mr. Spencer is going to go down there and be mayor, if he starts to be serious and he actually became mayor and I was actually elected governor, I would work definitely with the man because I would have to. I need his city to be prosperous. I need his city to function. And I also need his city to get under control with law and order for the other citizens who are tired of watching that lawlessness in LA. Last but not least, you're bringing the Olympics to California? You're damn skippy. That's going to be a showcase for this state. That's my commentary on what's getting ready to happen on the 3rd of February. Is this not nuanced so-called forum with 7 governor candidates, one being a Republican who's looking like a Republican in name only, Brit, who still can't figure out if he's a dual citizen or a regular citizen. But let me make one thing clear, contrary to the statements he made from Shasta during that forum. You are not Hungarian born, sir. You are Hungarian by ethnicity. You were born in London, England. You're Brit. who just converted to becoming an American citizen, but is still not proven that he's renounced British citizenship. That's what you are. You have plans and envisions for California. From what I've seen and read and peered into, once you get past the fluff and the BS and the nuances, your plan is a socialistic idea that seems to conform right along with the Democrats. Why is it that you're so readily and easily embraced by them? I'm trying to get that same opportunity you had with Mr. Mahan as the mayor of San Jose to look at the so-called tiny home investment that he did for their community. For some strange reason, I seem to be running across roadblocks. You had the opportunity to make a point. Instead, all you did was just went down there for a photo op. It's really frustrating when you have a party that claims they want to help out good candidates when they really don't. That you have a party that claims they want good candidates to step forward when they really don't. And I'm not putting that as a blanket statement against all Republicans in this state. There are some decent ones that are probably as frustrated as me at their own party. And we've seen that at party conventions. But that old adage, you go along to get along, seems to be in full play here. The squeaky wheel gets kicked to the curb. The people who are looking for change are ignored because they're deemed as dangerous to the party establishment. We want to have fraud, waste, and abuse dug out of California, but we really don't to certain degrees because then it would expose our weaknesses. I was a safety officer of UPE for 9 years of my 11 that I was in the county service. 9 years as a safety rep. 8. 1 year was partial. With no book, no guidance, no input, no nothing, my own standards of how to run that position. And I did it evenly across the board. If the county was in violation, they got called on it. If the union was in violation, they got called on it. If both of them were in violation, they got called on it. If both did good or one or the other did good, they were identified for the positive input that they made. And I referenced this earlier. Let me solidify it now. I stated when I first started, you have to have a candidate that has moral convictions to believe in their platform to try and convince you, the voters, why they're running and why they're the better choice. You can't pay your way into that chair. You can't pay your way into somebody's voting booth. You can't buy everybody's vote. You can't magic show and smoke and mirrors people to believe you're honest and forthright when you're not, clearly and evidently, in the case of your actions and your commentaries. What sets people apart are the ones who challenge the bullshitters from the bullshit. I'm not being ignored because I'm an idiot. I'm being ignored because I'm dangerous to people who want to buffalo you for your vote. I'm being ignored because I'm fully aware of what I'm saying. I haven't changed in my platform or my status. I might have changed some of the rhetoric, but the standard is still there. The goal is still there. I can't talk to a group of elderly females as I would a group of young, vibrant military people, but the standard is still there. in explanation no matter what. Here's what I'm going to do for California on California's behalf. My standard has not changed at all. First and foremost, for the citizens of this state, put that test to anybody else. Why are you running? And you're not going to hear that as the first words out of their mouth. You're included as a citizen at some point, but that's not the first reason why they're running. Why am I a dangerous candidate for the status quo? Because I make people think, and they don't want you to think. I point out things to have your eyes open. They don't want that either. I call out the nonsense, then they can't stand that at all. You give me 15 minutes in front of a crowd, I'll have people changing their minds. The other side is aware of that, which is why they don't want me in front of a crowd with a microphone for 15 minutes, much less 15 seconds. Oh, and they've seen that too. 90 seconds, that's how fast I can give that answer to a question. That's been posted on X also. So now we've made it even more difficult for my opponents. We don't want to give him 15 minutes, but hell, we don't even want to give that man 90 seconds. What's the best way that we can keep him from changing anybody's mind? We just don't let him speak to anybody, and we black him out from everything. That's what they're doing to good candidates. That's why I continue with calling Mr. Bianco a coward and not wanting to have a one-on-one debate, him and I alone. If you're that good, sir, this should be an easy cakewalk for you to disprove any doubts that you're the better man. But you're not. And we both know it. The party is protecting your ass. You're protecting your ass. The media is kind of protecting your ass. The Dems are going to keep everyone away from you being the top candidate or having to face a debate where you will lose dramatically because they know they're going to crush you in the general. And anybody with any realistic vision, anybody that actually knows the political game, and there are many of you out there, excuse me, you've already come to that same conclusion. But you're so dishonest with yourself that you're going to be dishonest for this state, because the only thing that is first and foremost driving you forward is your desperation to get the governor's chair. Everyone is expendable for that seat. That's your only goal. You'll sell your soul, if you already haven't, to get that seat. And the consultants don't care whether you get it or don't. They're going to get paid regardless. And that's what we face today. So when you see this debate, sit back, look at it, watch it a couple of times if you can stomach it. Look at what is said. Look at how many times they're going to hit the Democratic candidates. See who gets the most play on conversation. Listen to what the Republican guy up there is going to have to say, because he's playing for votes too, but he's playing for the rich, moderate demos to side with his vision of socialistic utopia that they're going to bring to California. The Republican Party is not present. The Democratic Party is in full view on that debate stage. My name is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor in 2026. And in spite of all the challenges, in spite of all the negativity, in spite of all the roadblocks, the powerhouse people, everybody with influence, fame, fortune, who are trying their damnedest to keep me out of this race, I'm still here and still attempting to change California for the better. Citizens of this state are what I'm about, not the citizens of other nations, which are what my opposite numbers are for. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful Saturday. God bless you all, and I look forward to talking with you again very soon.